It's the ML Sports Platter, brought to you by Stanley Law Offices, your personal injury attorneys in New York and PA. Log on to stanleylawoffices.com. I brought on a couple of old friends of mine, not calling them old, but longtime friends, of course. Chris Granozio, Don Familo, my pals from Moyne men's basketball and several media outlets, and we're getting set for baseball season. We're getting ready for all the madness. These guys are done with another season of Moyne hoops, and you guys have been at it for quite a long time as a great 1-2 punch, and it's an honor to have you aboard. How are you both?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
Excellent. So I wanted to start with the whole, the transfer into D1. And Don, maybe you could start here. Has it been, do you think, everything that you had imagined, and kind of take that and rope us into this year collectively here? Has it been everything that you predicted, so to speak, that big jump up to D1?
Well, it's interesting. We did get a prediction from the head basketball coach at Stonehill, Chris Krause, whose school went through it a year before us. And we've talked to him many times. He and men's coach Nate Champion are close friends. And everything he's predicted has come true, not just on the basketball side, but on the school side. From how well did the students and faculty handle the announcement? There was some trepidation. Not everybody was thrilled with it moving forward. To you're going to struggle doing A, B, and C your first year, and then D, E, and F your second year. And everything he's told us that has happened to his school and his teams has happened to Moyne. And not every school goes through it, but most of them do. I would say probably almost all of them do. The first year is fun. Everything's brand new. You go to new places and play new schools. And from a basketball perspective, Moyne goes to play Georgetown in the Capital One Arena, and it's like a Taylor Swift concert. It's this huge event that's so much fun. And then you go and do another one. So you have all of those in the first half of the year. Then you have conference play that kicks in. It's like another season. Then you have postseason. And months later, you realize how much longer the season is at Division I, how grueling it is, and how much of a war of attrition it is. In addition to all that, on the women's side for Moyne, they have a new coach this year. So they have the transition to Division I and the transition to a new coaching staff. It all comes down to experience. It takes time to get through it, and you have to sit back and enjoy the ride, because it's not always going to be successful from a wins and losses perspective. But if you have the mindset that, hey, I'm building a program here. It's not just about this game or this season. We're looking forward to what's going to happen when we're NCAA eligible, which could happen sooner than we expected. I'll let Chris talk about that, and continue to build the program. From that standpoint, I think this is what we expected and what we would quote unquote predict. Moyne has shown they can be competitive at Division I in most of their sports. In the future, they'll be able to certainly win conference championships in most of their sports. And then beyond that, who knows? If Chris and I live long enough, we might see even more.
Chris, take it from there.
This is our 33rd year on the air since we started in 1992, and that makes us the third longest tenured pair of broadcasters at any Division I school right now. So Don mentioned Chris Krause before, the head coach at Stonehill, the school that's gone 1 year ahead of us, from the same league, the Northeast 10 Conference of Division II. And we knew Chris Krause and broadcast games when he was a player, then an assistant coach, and now a head coach. It's his 11th year now as a head coach in Division or in for Stonehill. And also we've done 925 men's basketball games on the air. So for us, the biggest difference, I would say, Don, I think you'd agree, is the level of venue we're now in. He mentioned Capital One Arena, and now we used to always play games in the Carrier Dome as exhibitions, but now on a regular basis, we're playing in larger venues with better, for the most part, technology, and we're receiving game notes that are extensive, and teams that we're playing are more high profile. Going to Notre Dame this year, for example, is something we never thought we'd do. We've flown for a league game for the first time in Chicago State. First time we've ever had a conference that had two different time zones in it. So a lot of different things have been different this year. And most of them have been good, although Don said the word grueling, and that is correct. It is a longer season. There's more travel. There's a lot more on the expectation level. So yes, there are tolls to be taken as well.
So you mentioned 3+ decades, and all of us media people, we've got something in us where we just can't stop what we do. There's a passion, and we crave it, and none of us are millionaires. We try to, get by financially the way we get by. And all of us could have probably stepped away for one reason or another, whether you get good breaks or bad breaks, and said, I'll just go do this to try to make more money for my life. And it doesn't probably make a lot of sense for a lot of us. You guys have been doing this for a long time. So what has been maybe I just answered my question, but what has been the thing that's kept you doing media? Because this isn't all you guys do, but the sports media thing, play-by-play color, why so long? Why keep doing it? Why keep scratching the itch? What is it? Why keep going this long?
Go ahead, Chris. You take this one first.
Well, Don has always used this one reason, and it goes back to our first year in 1992-93. It's a way for us as alums to stay connected with our school and also give something back to the school that's not necessarily a paycheck or just a check that we write out. It's something that we can be active with the school and also give them exposure. When we started doing this, we had to pay to be on the air. And we had to go out and sell ads. Don and I would go out to different sponsors and sell ads just to be able to make a break-even proposition. But now it's to the point where people are selling ads for us. We're actually making a profit. We still have to pay to be on the air, but we can cover that cost now. So it's a passion. We both love Moyne College basketball. We used to go from our freshman year in 1982 down to see games. We would also go on road trips occasionally to watch the team and cheer them on. And there was always something in the back of our heads, such as, it would be nice to be on the air one day, because we were both working for the school radio station, which was a tiny little carrier current station. But I think it finally came to pass. The year before Don and I started, there was a Lemoyne baseball player named Pete Stoyan who really got the ball rolling. He was interested in a sports broadcasting career and somehow made a deal with a local Christian radio station. And they said, okay, yeah, if you give us this amount of money, we'll block off the time. And he did the entire season before us. And when he left to get a radio job in sports radio in Florida, it was left out there, and Don and I decided to pick up the baton. We've been doing it ever since.
John, what makes you go?
I think I want to echo what one of our now longtime friends, coaches in the business, Brian Bury, said to us. We interviewed him after I guess it was his true retirement from coaching at St. Rose, though he's still coaching now. He's an assistant at Siena. But Brian said he doesn't remember the games. He remembers all the people that came through St. Rose, the College of St. Rose, and what they're doing now with their lives and their families and all of those personal connections. That's what keeps him going. And that's a big part of what keeps us going. Now, when we started doing this, we had a lot in common with the players. Scott Hicks was a head coach who was a classmate just a couple years behind us. And then as the years went on, we ended up having more in common with their parents. And sad to say, we're getting to a point now where we may have more in common with their grandparents. But we still have those connections as well. And that's a big part of what keeps us going.
Don Familo, Chris Granozio, my guests here on the ML Sports Platter, Lemoyne men's hoops for 3+ decades, and a ton of media along the way as well. And you can go to LemoyneDolphins.com and catch them on the NEC Front Row, Fox Sports Radio, 1490 AM and 92.5 FM for the remainder, of course, of this year, and then moving forward on LemoyneDolphins.com. Guys, let's transition in here as we close to a little Yanks and Mets. I know you guys are chomping at the bit, and baseball means a lot of things, even though, the Yanks haven't won a World Series since 2009. For me, it's kind of like, it's another season, I guess. But for you guys, it's a little bit like me, I guess the common part for me is that, yes, it's springtime, it's new beginnings, it's get rid of winter, it's get to the ballpark, and you can't beat that, right? And I know you guys both love doing that. So I just wanted to give you the floor on some Yanks Mets thoughts, Don, if you wanted to start in the Bronx.
Well, for me, I actually had the opportunity to work 13 games to fill in for Chris last year with the Yanks. Spend my summers, probably work a third to half of the games with the Syracuse Mets. But you said it, Mike. It's spring, right? And hope. Spring hope's eternal. Like every spring, you think your team, this is going to be the year. We should be okay this year. Who knows? Maybe we'll be that team that makes that step forward. And then a couple months in the season, most teams realize reality. But it's part of spring and sunshine and green grass. And as Mike, as you and I look out our windows here in Brewerton, that seems like it's months away. But we know it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
We know like it can turn on a dime.
Yep.
In Chris's case, there's not a lot of snow down in New York City, but still been cold. But it's right around the corner. And we talk a lot about doing Moyne basketball and other things in the wintertime. It helps the winter go by to get us to this point where we can start looking forward to baseball.
Yeah, the home opener for the Yankees, which I'll be working, is 24 days from now. It's hard to believe because we're still in basketball mode.
Yep.
And I still cover Division II basketball, so I'll be working a lot up until that date. And so, yeah, it's that baseball is a passion, just like basketball is. And for me, yeah, having worked for the Yankees since 1997, I've worked parts of 9 World Series, and in the 2000 World Series, I worked every game because I was working for the Mets as well.
Right.
For about 20 years, I worked for both of them. For those who don't know, I work as an audio engineer / DJ for the team. So pretty much everything you hear in the ballpark when I'm working, where Don's filling in for me, is coming from our board, whether it's the PA announcer or whether it's a video or music. Our organist, it all comes through our board, and we, make sure we take care of the levels. We also have the capacity to put things on the scoreboard. I voiced some features. My voice has been in the Yankee Stadium bowl, so to speak. And it's something that makes the winters go well. It makes we endure college basketball and winter so that we can do baseball and enjoy ourselves. So and I'm not saying that Moyne is lesser than baseball, but it is not a profession. I don't make a living at it. My source of income primarily is Yankee baseball and events at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the big picture this year, I think American League is probably about as weak as it was last year. The path is still there for the Yankees, despite Juan Soto going to Queens, and I think the division is there for the taking for the Yanks again. But again, you get into the playoffs. Can you hit with runners in scoring position? Can you clean up the defense a little bit? They acquired Max Fried. You got some pieces, some nomad players, a Paul Goldschmidt, a Bellinger, trying to make up for that. I'm looking for the launch of a Jason Dominguez perhaps this year. And then on the Mets side, we know they're loaded, and they came close last year. But the National League is loaded. Phillies, Braves, Mets, Dodgers, Padres. I think the Diamondbacks are going to be better adding Corbin Burns. So the NL is got a lot more great teams, but you're going to see a little bit of a return, I think, with Houston. Interesting to see what happens with Baltimore, losing Santander and losing Corbin Burns. But I think path-wise, Chris, to wrap up, you'd probably look at it like I do, right? I mean, in the AL, it's here. I mean, the silver platter, Yankees, like go get the pennant again, right? Don't you look at it the way I do?
Yes, I do exactly. And from the points of the Yankees' weaknesses to exactly the path you were talking about. The American League last year, I thought, was like the JV, in effect. I all the years I've worked with the Yankees and the years before that as a fan, never saw an easier path to the World Series. Now, once they got there, it was a different story. The Dodgers were loaded. But, I do agree with your assessment. And Don could probably chime in on this, too, as we both started out for the Syracuse Chiefs. Working AAA baseball. Don still works at the stadium on the north side, and it's going to be an interesting year. And I predict the Mets will have a great year based on what they have. The question is, as you said, can they wedge through the National League? And it's going to be very difficult. The Yankees have a clearer path, if not the stronger team.
And can the New York Mets keep their pitching staff healthy so they don't have to raid the Syracuse Mets and take our best pitchers away from us?
Yeah, I do like them. I mean, listen, $350 million these days for payrolls, it buys you quite a bit. So you shouldn't have as many holes, but you could spend 300 to 400 and you get into the playoffs, and sometimes it doesn't matter because it's still a crapshoot. Things can happen. The Dodgers finally got over the hump last year and added what seems like a million more players, including Sasaki from the international scene. But the Mets should be right there. But I'm with you, Don. I think that starting pitching is really the key to getting through. And the Braves will be healthier. The Phillies are always there. It's going to be a wild, wild year in the National League. Chris Granozio, Don Familo, Lemoyne men's basketball, sports media buddies for so long. Go get him at LeMoyneDolphins.com and those aforementioned platforms I mentioned. And it's all brought to you by our good friends at Stanley Law. Gentlemen, great to have you aboard, and we'll chat with you real soon. And we got to get some lunch going. And you guys are so busy, man. I'm busy, and life's flying by. But it was great to have you aboard the ML Sports Platter. We'll have to do it again.
Thanks for having us, Mike. It was a real pleasure.
And we know we'll see you somewhere sometime soon.